Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's another Wednesday coming in live. Hi, Dan. Thanks for being here. Today, we're going to be talking about mindset shifts that kind of can be a tongue twister. Can't speak today. And so the question I have in reference to mindset shifts pertaining to content creation, obviously, it's more specifically video, is what limiting beliefs are you holding back from creating videos? If you could put that in the comments, I'd greatly appreciate it so that I can get a little bit of an understanding in reference to why are you not doing videos. I hold on a regular basis every week consultations with prospects who are entrepreneurs. A lot of them, for the vast majority of them, are coaches. They have experienced a lot in their business world of whatever it is that they're an expert in. They're extremely knowledgeable about what they do, but the one thing that they have not yet been able to do, and this could be a variety of reasons, whether it's that they're still working their 9 to 5 and they're making the transition into becoming an entrepreneur, or they're fairly new at entrepreneurship, or even if they've, in some instances, been doing it for a while, they've been avoiding doing video. And typically when that happens, it is because of some sort of a limiting belief that you have. And I speak from experience because even though my background is video, I've worked in it for a couple of decades. I was never in front of the camera, and being in front of the camera creates a whole slew of things that you never anticipated or expected. And so there are some things that you need to get over. And for all of us, the one consistent thing that I've recognized is that it doesn't matter how educated you are, how knowledgeable you are in whatever your field is. When it comes to being on camera and sharing your knowledge and your expertise, there are limiting beliefs that creep in and that prevent us from actually doing the thing that we want to do. And that's share our knowledge and expertise with those who really need it. Okay, Dan, you have put up a question here regarding which website domain to focus on, which one will provide the best return or involvement, clarity. I think I'm going to need some explanation on that. Does that have anything to do with what we're talking about, the limiting beliefs? Because it started off with you saying clarity regarding which website domain to focus on. So please clarify your question and I'll get back to that. So with regards to what our topic is today, what I do want to talk about is two main discussion points that I know I've had to deal with over the years. For any of you who have followed me, you know a little bit of my journey, that I started off my business primarily creating videos or editing videos for speakers. And then I branched out and started to learn a little bit more about YouTube. And then I started to incorporate YouTube with video creation and offered that as a service to my clients. And with that came a lot of limiting beliefs. So two that I want to focus on are, the first one is I developed a lot of fears. And usually when you're talking about a limiting belief, there is a fear. It's rooted in a fear that you have. So one of my fears, and I had a number of them, was this fear of being judged or of just putting myself out there, because I was afraid back in like 2013, 2014, when I first started my YouTube channel, I started to share my knowledge online. Trolling was like a much bigger thing than I think it is now. I could be wrong. There probably still are a lot of trolls and I just don't see them as often. I tend to get some trolls on my emails, believe it or not. And so I had this enormous fear of being judged and being told that I didn't know what I was talking about, that I wasn't an expert. How dare I call myself an expert because I didn't have a litany of degrees or I hadn't been doing it for a couple of decades. when I say doing it, meaning having an online business. And those anxieties really caused me to play small. It caused me to not want to go out there and share my knowledge. I still did videos, but for the most part, a lot of those videos that I did, I was doing tutorial videos or screen recorded videos of platforms, and you very rarely, if ever, saw me. You would hear my voice, but you never really saw me. So that was a way of me still trying to do videos without, I guess, putting myself out there. And so if they critiqued me teaching them how to use the software, it was like, what's your problem with that? I'm showing you the right way to do it. It wasn't me putting myself out there and showing and talking about something that I had experienced. So it was, as a result, I then just hid and I didn't do the things that I needed to do in order for my business to grow, because having an online presence with video does exponentially grow your business, because when people are able to see you online in videos, they can get to know, like, and trust you a lot faster than if they're only using social media posts that are predominantly text, or if they're images, they may or may not show you. And a lot of times in still images, you're not really sure, is that person's real life? And so it brings a lot of questions in for you. And so once I started to just continue to produce videos, and I just slowly but surely got myself more comfortable in being in front of the camera, I started to actually read the comments that were coming up on my YouTube videos. And it was because of me being able to read them that then allowed me to relieve myself of this fear of judgment. And that was because the vast majority of my comments either said, thanks, I really appreciate it, I was looking for something like this. But then when a few started to sneak in where they were saying, I watched X number of other videos on this particular tool and didn't understand it until your video, that's when I then realized that there was space for me and that I actually did belong here. And that, ever since recognizing that, is something that I constantly preach and I constantly tell anyone that can hear me, whether you're a client, a student, or someone that's watching a live stream or one of my videos. Your specific voice, your specific viewpoint is needed, because there are certain people that are out there that can only learn and understand from you. So even though your niche or your industry or the thing that you're an expert in may be cluttered with a bunch of other people, it doesn't mean that your voice, your version of what you're saying, isn't also needed. So the second area that I wanted to talk about is stop focusing on selling in your videos and focus more on serving. I worked in sales for about 10 years, and it wasn't until a long time after that I even really classified what I did as sales. I did more relationship building. I never even called myself a salesperson. I was actually a client services representative and worked my way up to client services manager. But that experience made me realize that there were a lot of ways to get people to buy from you. And one of the ways you did not need to do it is to force feed them and to force them to do something that they're not either interested in doing or ready to do. And so if you look at everything that you're doing from a perspective of service first, the sales will come. And I've said this before as well, YouTube is a long game. Video marketing in general is a long game unless you're putting money behind it and you're doing Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, where it's a video. And in that instance, you really need to know your audience and know that they specifically want what you're offering in the way that you're offering and using the words that you're using. So you need not waste a lot of money on doing advertising if you're still trying to figure out where you belong. Whereas with video marketing, in doing it in an organic manner, using it for social media and for YouTube, You can fool around and play around until you've really finessed your positioning. So the first thing you want to do is just think about your audience. And I always talk about this too, that you need to really understand what specifically does your audience need? What are they looking for? What are they saying? What's their pain point and their problem? And then you need to provide them with the solution of that. I know that there are a lot of people who are saying, well, that's what I sell. Why would I give away a lot of information in my videos or social media posts or what have you? And you really need to do that so that people can then determine that, okay, yes, you know what you're talking about. You are the person that I'm going to come to when it's time for me to execute or to implement whatever it is that I'm looking for. A lot of times when people are looking on social media and even sometimes on YouTube, they're trying to educate themselves. They're trying to determine, is this something I should do myself? Is this something that I should hire somebody to do? And if they determine that this is something that they should hire someone to do, wouldn't it be great if they've seen that you've proven you can do it? And so all they would need to do is call you up, schedule a call, and it bypasses a lot of the hemming and hawing and trying to figure out whether or not you might be the right person. Really, all they're doing is to sort of finalize their decision, and they usually can make a decision a lot faster. If they've seen your content, they know that you're an expert at whatever it is that they need your help for. So it is an organic way for people to learn about you and to understand what your expertise is. And eventually it will bring you money. It's not going to be that way for every single person that sees your video, because there's going to be a wide variety of people that are watching your content. Some are hard DIYers. They're not going to ever budge from that for whatever reason. Okay, you provided them with some information and maybe your low ticket item type things that they might purchase. But then there are going to be some that are the high ticket. They can afford your services. They can afford to work with you, but they're using your YouTube video or the content that they're seeing on social media to determine, are you the right fit for them? And then the other thing that video does when you're focused on servicing and not selling is it allows you to build that trust. It allows you to build that connection with your audience. I can't tell you how many times people will see my content, contact me, and then say, I feel like I know you. And it's because they've ingested a lot of my content prior to meeting with me. So it just, to me, video is like your silent but really powerful salesperson, because it's selling for you, it's showcasing who you are, it's doing the marketing for you 24/7, and it's doing it without you having to do anything on the back end to make sure that it gets in front of that person each and every time. You do the back end once. You target who you're talking to, who you want this video to be in front of, and they will find it when they start searching for it. So those are the two main things that I wanted you to recognize that you need to think about in terms of your living beliefs. First, you need to identify them. And then you need to go from whatever that fear is to shifting your focus on what it is that you can do for your audience. And then the other thing is to really more focus on providing them with information, providing them with a service, rather than forcing them to buy something from you. So hopefully those two discussion points helped you. Let me check out what some of the comments are. Okay, Dan, you said, concerned about putting my energy on the wrong thing and be dismissed as trivial or insignificant. The key to not putting your energy in things that are not worthwhile is to really survey your audience. If you already have existing clients, it's really important for you to survey them, ask them key questions so that you can have an understanding of what their pain points are, what their problems are, and what kinds of solutions are they looking for. What's the result that they want to get? If you don't have clients, go into Facebook groups that cater to who your ideal audience is. So you need to know, first and foremost, who your ideal audience is. Then you need to go into areas where they are located and then be able to ask them questions. So if in these groups you can post a poll or ask a question and get responses, that's great. If not, then I would try other mechanisms where you can reach out to your ideal audience through in-person or virtual networking groups. If you have other connections, LinkedIn is where I tend to spend the vast majority of my time, and I'm going to assume it works this way on every single platform. If there are people that you're already connected to, tell them who you would like to meet. If they are somebody that you know that could benefit from your service and you've explained what it is that you do, then you can get feedback from them in terms of, oh yeah, that's something that I've been looking forward to, or I could use that. And then you question them about what it is that is their pain point. When did they discover that this was a pain point, so that you can really have a clear understanding. And with AI, you really are no longer at a loss. You can really fine tune the questions that you need to ask them and really be able to do the key researching that you need to do so that you're not wasting your energy on things that aren't going to be beneficial. But I will say that that actually sort of brings up another idea, which is that a lot of people are fearful of doing something because they don't think they're going to get the response or the reaction or the result that they want. And I actually was going to end today with this quote, but I'm actually now going to share this quote. And let me share the quote. Imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. And that is something, it's by an author and speaker by the name of Greg McGowan. That is something that I used to do and lived by. Well, I shouldn't say I lived by this quote, but I took perfect inaction. I was perfect at inaction. And inaction is fear. So the only way, in answering your question, Dan, the only way that you're going to be able to fine tune what it is that you're doing to whom you need to do it is to take imperfect action. You have to, because that's the only way that we learn, and we'll figure it out as we make the mistakes. Okay, I tried this didn't work, or this was the feedback that I got from this. Note to self, don't do that. Let's try something else. But there are ways that you can limit the amount of time that you're wasting. So I'll share that. So now I wanted to give you some action steps on things that you can do, and I did share a few of them. One of them is to define your why. You really need to be clear on what your purpose is. Why are you wanting to create videos? For whom are you creating these videos? What's motivating you? What's the content that you want to share? How is it going to help? All of that is really imperative for you to be able to help you really address the mindset issue and be able to be in a position where you can help your audience. Another one is to start small. Don't get overwhelmed by watching others that are even in your niche or not, regardless of where they are, and see how broad they are. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. I remember when I first started my business, I had just learned about Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, as a lot of people know. And if any of you have ever followed him, which I'm sure probably everybody has, they know that he's on every single platform. If it's a brand spanking new platform, he's on it. He's doing whatever it is. If it's a post, if it's an image, if it's video, whatever it is, he's doing that. And I know that I'm not the only one that fell for this, but a lot of people try to follow that process of trying to be everywhere and be everything to everyone. And it is not possible. The best way is for you to start small. And I'm now starting to hear a lot more gurus and experts explaining, start with one platform, for example, and try to commit to a schedule on that one platform that's doable for you. And as soon as you get the momentum and things are starting to go in the right direction, then you can expand and grow from there, whether it's on the amount of content, the frequency of that content, or the number of platforms that you're on. The other thing that I didn't do, and I'm still kind of not doing it as often, is celebrating the small wins. So if you accomplish something, for example, one of my challenges up until last year, or technically still, was that I was not comfortable doing live streams. So the commitment that I made to myself for 2024 was that I wanted to come live every single week. And I haven't really officially celebrated that, and I probably should. I've definitely patted myself on the back, and when I look, I'm like, I'm really impressed that with the exception of 2 weeks where I was on vacation, I just pre-recorded the video and had it go live. I've come live every single Wednesday. And we are now in the fourth week of July. I don't know how many days that is into the year. I don't have a calendar that tells me that right now, but that's pretty good. So I need to really make sure that I'm celebrating those small wins, even though some people might be saying, well, that's a big win because you've been doing it for a while. And last but not least, I'm a big fan of embracing things. I want people to embrace YouTube because I don't want you to be so afraid of it and thinking that it's this thing that you can't conquer. But I want you to embrace the journey that you're on in terms of dealing with your limiting belief, figuring out ways that you can get in front of your audience by serving them as opposed to selling to them, figuring out who your audience is. Everything that comes with video marketing, I want you to embrace that process and know that consistency is definitely the key part of that. And that we're going to go into a little bit more deeper next week is all about video consistency. And just know it's not going to be perfect. There are going to be ups and downs. In my journey of live streaming, I've switched from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And there were 2 weeks there where I couldn't do it live. And I used to do very elaborate themes. And I'm not sure I'm going to keep doing that because that tends to be very time consuming. And I want this to be helpful. I want it to be beneficial. But I also want it to be easy for me to handle. So that's where I'll leave you. I'm going to put back up the quote, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction, because I really want everyone that sees this, whether you're here live, and thank you for all of you who have been here live and for your questions, or if you're watching this on the replay, that the inaction is what's keeping you hidden. And I have a tag on my website that says, I help my clients go from invisible to influencer. And I don't want you to misinterpret what influencer means, because a lot of people assume an influencer is someone that has millions of subscribers or gets tens of millions of views, and it's not. I can be an influencer to just one person, but without video, you are and will continue to be invisible. And so if you don't want to be invisible, because anybody that is in business needs to be visible, you need to get found by your ideal audience, video is the way for you to capture that. So until next week, I will see you later. And please comment on this if you're watching the replay, and let me know if you have any questions, or even if you have any ideas and thoughts of themes or things that you would like me to talk about in future live streams. I'm here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and I'll see you next time. Take care.